And we can record the gentle tinkle of ice.
Yay!
Cheers! Cheers!
Cheers.
Raconteur Press is drinking. Oh, we're
Some
all
of
in
us
spot.
more than others.
That's his second one.
Yeah, this is rare enough for the entire... This is not the entire staff of Raconteur Press.
No.
But probably
It's
the
senior
most
staff.
active staff
Yeah,
of
it's senior
Raconteur
staff.
Press.
80% of the staff, I think.
I think it's the instigators. We're
Yeah.
all here. It's all his
We're out
fault.
here. We're representing.
It's all his fault.
So welcome to the broadcast, a very special broadcast where we have the staff of Raconteur Press here to talk postcards.
To talk postcards, I'll put on my production manager hat. We need to give you guys a little bit of a history lesson here about how all this started, and at the end of this, we need your help in more ways than one.
Lots of
we
help.
all need help. And
Some
we're drinking
proof.
it. So-
Gin and tonic.
right, we're all having gin and tonics. Thank you, Courtney. Because we're a little this little project that started in January at MarsCon when Courtney and I were sitting around talking about, hey, let's do this fun little project. We'll just give some people some postcards at MarsCon, and this will be great fun, and this will be terrific. And
We have all these images. We have these little cards of pictures.
let's just
so
see if
fun.
anybody wants to play.
Yeah,
70 images later.
From MarsCon.
from MarsCon.
From MarsCon. Also in the middle of doing stuff with this guy and other books.
Just a couple.
The first postcards from Mars happened.
Yes.
And we were a little panicked by that response. It was like, well, this is cool. And we're like, so Cedar, do you think you can help us out with the, how are we going to, let's do a cover. Oh, there's a lot of things. Oh, who got what thing? So there's a whole lot of backroom running in circles, screaming.
Because
We have been learning as we go.
Yeah, but I mean,
we were in at MarsCon in the hotel, and Cedar was home, and she said, "Oh, if anybody wants to play that's not there, I'll just send them a digital file."
right,
Okay, cool.
Right.
We did not expect. We did not expect Cedar to be busy all weekend.
it was like she was
Cedar
at the
did not
convention,
expect to be
but
busy.
not at the convention all at the same time.
It was fun.
And then we got that many, and then we realized that we could only put 20 in the book.
Yes,
20
because-
total.
And we knew we figured we could do the postcards because there wouldn't be a big response, and so we'd get the 20 best, and we probably only have to tell 5 or 6 people that it didn't quite work, and it's not 50 words, so we're sorry. That's not what happened.
No. And then Cedar saved our butts by figuring out how to lay it out. So we could do we were trying to figure out, do we do a Kindle or do we do a hardbound too, or what do we do? So that decision process.
Well, it was easy enough because all along I knew we could do Kindle. It's a ginormous file, and the delivery fees for Kindle, when you're looking at a 70% royalty, and I'm going to get way into the technical weeds here, but there's delivery fees that Amazon charges for large files when you're buying an ebook. So if you're buying an ebook that is an illustrated book, like say the illustrated books that I did with LawDog, or one of the postcard books, those are very large files because they have illustrations. So if you're doing the 70% royalty, which is obviously what you choose most of the time because it brings you in the most money, when you're doing a very large file, you're paying that fee. So if you're not careful, you can actually go to the point where you're almost losing money with every sale of an ebook that way. So the other alternative is if you're only taking the 35% royalty, then the delivery fee is waived. Amazon eats it because they're getting the lion's share of the royalty. So we thought that was what we were going to have to do with postcards.
This man's thing about Raconteur Press is authors
get paid.
Yes.
Yep.
Have fun and get paid. So we're finding the best way to get our authors the most amount of money.
Exactly.
Which is also why we capped it at 20, because nobody wants to get 1% of a book.
Yeah, who wants 1% of a book is kind of like, And even if it's a tiny little story, you put effort in, you should get paid for it.
Yes.
So.
Right. Yeah. And the thing with laying it out was actually easy enough because I had been working with Affinity Publisher, which is the equivalent of Adobe InDesign. And I have long experience with Adobe InDesign, and I'm really glad I'm not having to use that for this. Because no. But Affinity Publisher is actually more intuitive, and I had already been using it to lay out the coloring books that I was doing with LawDog. So it was easy enough to say, okay, sure, I can handle that because it's not going to be difficult. And then we got creative because
Can't imagine that happening in this
Nope.
neighborhood ever.
for paperback book, Amazon will allow you to go as short as 24 pages.
Right.
So which we were obviously going to have more than 24 pages with 20 stories and 20 images. For a hardbound, which I really wanted to do with postcards because I knew it was going to look sharp. And for the hardbound, you had to have no less than 76 pages, which is weird because most children's books are shorter than that, but that's a whole other...
It's the way
It
they
is
do
what it is.
the on-demand
It
printing.
had to be 76 pages.
We don't make these decisions, so
So
Yeah.
then I was like, well, how can we fluff this book, which was at that point like 46 pages long?
Mhm.
How can I fluff this book and make it the 76 pages I need to have a hardcover
Yeah.
version?
so then we added in the Frederick Brown information
Yep,
because he is the original inspiration for all of this with his
Right.
outstandingly tight short stories.
So was it a conversation with Ben Yallo that sparked
Well,
this?
no, actually, I've been a big fan of Frederick Brown for as long as I've been reading science fiction because his short stories are so amazing. And whenever I get the opportunity, I'm shoving him under people's noses. And then Ben Yallo and I were talking about it one of the myriad times we've run into each other this last couple of years.
FenCon, I think.
I think it was at FenCon, about how much I loved how beautiful and tight his stories were.
Mhm.
And then we had done a 50-word challenge in our high school with our writing students to do that. And I thought, what a great little exercise,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
And then we were brainstorming, and you were like, well, why don't we do this?
Right. Well, because I had ideas for like the muse in a box and training your muse to show up.
Yes.
You know, you can take inspiration from anything and you can write a story on anything.
Mhm.
I wanted to do short story collections that were based on some kind of challenge
Mhm.
because I wanted people to sit down with their muse and write something on demand.
Yeah, and we were going to do story in a box with little 6x4 boxes with weird little objects in it, which we were like, oh, we could do that. Oh, it's just a whole lot of stuff to carry around, right?
Yeah, it got weirdly like complex to make it work.
And then MidJourney happened.
Yes.
And then suddenly we had all these amazing images.
Yes.
And then you took the leap and went, well, why don't we just do this with the images we have?
We've got images. Let's do it.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So that's where that all came from.
Mhm.
It was like this. It was one of those creative moments where we were just all standing around talking, and it just kept leaping to the next thing.
It's like I had this idea and you had this idea and this
And
I
then we
had
put it
put
all
up in
together.
here and then we
And
played.
then we have this publishing company because this guy, right?
Who lets us do things, which is the nice thing about it.
Well, I know they're happening.
Let's.
As long as I know they're happening, go forward and
It's
say
like,
no more.
hi, we're doing another book. Oh, we are? Yeah, we are. Okay.
What do I need to do? Stand out front.
Stand
and
out
look
front and look pretty. So, which is kind of, we just need to make you a shirt that says, I'm standing out front looking pretty.
Actually, I want that on my business cards. Ian McMurtry, publisher, stands out front, looks pretty.
So that's how that happened.
We can make that happen.
So MarsCon was a huge success, and Postcards
Yes.
from Mars came out. It was a huge success, and people were so excited and thought it was so much fun,
Oh yeah,
right?
and people who were in it. So Rob
Rob
Howell took it to a MediaCon, like the week after it came out, and at a MediaCon you get a lot of people go, "Oh, I don't read." It's like, well, what about something that's illustrated with really pretty pictures? And he sold all of them, which
Because
which is
anyone will read a
fantastic.
50-word story.
Yeah, I mean,
It's shorter than a tweet.
it's a
Yes.
really tiny commitment. Yeah,
Also, you have the picture.
and the
Yes,
picture. Yeah,
and you do have the picture,
The
and that
picture
was
sparks the
Picture
imagination.
and
and that was my goal from the beginning with the MidJourney images for this, and I wrote about this in the one that's coming out in a few days. I don't know when we're putting this out,
Today is Wednesday.
this
Here.
this will
This
be
is the-
Wednesday.
yeah.
So Friday
Okay.
it comes out.
Friday it'll come out then. We have a couple other episodes in the can, so I'm a little.
Oh, so this one's, yeah, we need to switch
we're
it.
we're gonna do this one before Fools,
Yeah,
and then
yeah,
the
yeah.
next two are gonna
So
I've got scheduled.
as I was putting together the steam-powered postcards, which was the second one, and it will be publishing Friday.
There's a story with that one too.
Oh yeah, no, we're going to be all over the map as far as our chronology.
Like we ever go in a straight line anywhere.
But I talk in the fluff part of that book because I'm fluffing these books.
A little bit.
And
it's good fluff.
no, it's good fluff because that's what I did was went educational with the thought behind
Cedars
what
and
I'm
Fluffer.
generating and
Not going there.
That was bait.
I'm just going to enjoy my gin and tonic and sit here and
Sit there and look pretty.
my second gin and tonic.
But
Anyway,
the whole
sorry.
thing with these images is that I'm trying to give something that's evocative to pull a 50-word story out of an author, but also that'll look good on a page
Yes.
because we want these books to look stunning too.
Yes.
And so it's a very clear art decision.
It
And
is.
everybody that gets an image is getting one that you think is going to look good in the book.
Yes. Well, and then we're like, wow, that was really fun. Wow, we got a lot of submissions, but let's do one for the Steampunk Exhibition Convention. All three of us are going, and since we don't know a lot of people who are going to be there, well, maybe we won't get quite so many submissions. all day. Cedar is. We opened it on Friday. Cedar's at dinner, trying to not, to eat the catfish, and she's like doing images and throwing them out the door.
I'm like, I was sitting there and I'm going, this is really busy. This is busier than the last one.
It was insane, absolutely insane. The little promo got spread everywhere. It was all over my feed on Facebook, and I know a lot of authors. So I mean, I think almost everybody reposted that thing. We got requests from people we had no idea who they were.
Still don't.
We still have no clue. Have never met them. People
Well,
that we were like, wait,
sent
what?
images-
Yeah,
I sent images to people with Twitter handles. No idea who
I
they
don't know
are.
who they were,
Yeah.
but it
And
was.
we had people at the con because I mentioned
At the
it every
convention,
mall I was at, and we talked about it. And so I handed out several. There's one guy who wrote it at the con and sent it back, fully formatted on his phone.
on his phone,
He managed to
and
figure
everything was right.
everything
Janet.
was correct.
It's
So well done,
possible
him.
you could do it.
So that one, over 130 pictures went out. How many submissions came back on that?
Oh gosh, I don't know.
80 or
He
90?
had 80.
Yeah.
We had 80.
Yeah.
And we
come
had
back.
to choose 20 out of 80.
We
So
had to
now
make 20.
we keep telling you people that this is really competitive. We're not kidding.
So we were making those decisions at Fantasy, where we opened another one.
Right.
We're insane.
Because we're crazy.
So
But we're
at
gonna visit
Fantasy,
all the conventions because
yeah,
it's fun.
okay. So in between, so right after that
Right.
is when I hired myself for
Yes.
Raconteur Press.
Yes.
Because I was downloading as the stuff came in
Well,
into my folder.
Plus we had
And-
2 other books in the pipeline,
Mhm.
and
Two. We had
5.
you sat down and you spent hours
Okay,
woman,
no.
getting our lives
In
No,
order.
some semblance
Okay,
of
so
order.
here's what happened. Courtney was pacing around the house in full ADD, like, I can't find everywhere. And he was doing the same thing. And Cedar's like, what's going on? Do we have, is there another cover due? And I was like, oh, this is insane. This is just ridiculous. So I took Courtney out and sat her down and said, we're going to go through every author we know and all the different groups that we're involved with. And we're going to go through the list of all the things that you are involved with, this giant list.
Yes.
At the end of that, when we had 9 separate groups, because we've got a bunch of authors here, Courtney helps a lot of people, and Cedar does a lot of work, and he stands around and looks pretty, and creates more work for us by getting drunk and giving us anthologies, and, which we're totally fine with.
Or getting angry and giving more info.
Getting angry tweets, we'll talk about that one. But so I sat her down, and we went through it, and we figured out that there were 66 books in the pipeline for this year. 24 of which she doesn't have her fingers in, but just, what was it, like 36, 37?
25 or things that I had responsibility for directly.
Directly. And there was like 38, 39 that you were tangentially involved in.
Yeah.
Totally.
I'm helping with some of the back end stuff on lot.
Yeah. So, and also just randomly formatting shit for people out of the blue, like, EMTs who think they can get their book published in 3 days after giving you the manuscript yesterday.
It's like, I sent you an email. Oh, that's great. Can you have it done by tonight? It's 4:00 in the afternoon.
So
You're insane.
So when that happened, and then Cedar was like, am I doing the cover for this? And I was looking at these people going, okay, I'm not a writer, but I put a lot of, if I can get the opera chorus organized and have them all wearing matching socks, I can get these people organized. So I hired myself after
Yes.
SteamCon, because
I walked in the blanket fort, happy as a clam at high tide. And John goes, I hired myself. I'm your production manager. I went, cool.
Which promptly made calendars on the wall, and
Calendar came up, and then she's like, well, I need you could write on. I'm like, okay, fine. I went and got 2 calendars because I was going to get them printed, but I got the big ones I can write on. She's like, here, write down everything you have to do, and I'm like,
No, I sat her down.
damn it.
And then I sat her down, and I was like, okay, now we need to look at this to see if this is reasonable for the work we put together for ourselves. And we've got every weekend this month is a book coming out
this month,
in
every
April.
weekend next month.
So,
Yep.
so after SteamCon and Postcards, that's what happened, is that
Yes.
we got slammed with 130 requests, over 80 submissions, and we had to sort through all of them.
Mm-hmm.
I decided to become the rules lawyer and the East German judge. Because
We needed one. We really
Yeah.
did.
Yeah.
I'm the hard ass. If your name isn't on it, you don't get a second chance. If your
Put
email,
your name on it.
if your name isn't on it, if it's not exactly 50 words, and that includes checking the hyphenated words, you don't get to get 2 extra words because you hyphenated them. So it's like,
When you have 20 slots and you have 60 very good stories, there has to be some way
Mm-hmm.
to narrow it down to 20 slots.
yeah,
Well, because what we did is I would download them into the slush, and I would go through and say, okay, is there a title on this? Is there a name
Yeah.
on this? And if there wasn't, it went in the no, because I had
and she
to.
was
had
doing
to
all
narrow
of
it
that.
down.
When really she should be reading the stories and editing them. That's
Yeah.
what these two should be doing, reading the stories and editing them. I'm the person who can go make sure all the format's right. And I do. And I have no patience.
Mhm.
I taught high school. Please, people, really?
Right.
Put your name on your paper. You put your title on it. It's, oh my God.
Which comes back to part of the point of postcards isn't, I mean, yes, it's have fun, get paid,
Mhm.
but it's also
How to be a professional.
Yeah, it's how to be a professional. It's teaching writers what the tools are in their toolbox and how best to use them. And there are certain things that need to be muscle memory for a professional author. Put your name in the document, not just on the email that the document's attached to.
Yeah.
Put the title in the document. We're going to be adding to that. Put your email in the document, because not that that was going to be a rejection offense prior, but it makes life a lot easier when we're at the final stage and actually
Yes.
sending out acceptances or feedback or whatnot.
Yes.
Who
and
do
if-
I send a contract to?
Yeah,
Right,
I want to
exactly.
send a contract to somebody so we can pay them. And you've sent it to me on your pseudonym email, and your real name is on the document, but not your pseudonym. And I have no idea what your email is. So I have to spend 10 minutes searching through the emails to see where it came in, to see if I can even find it.
Yeah.
So we learned
We're learning every time we do.
every time we do
Every
this.
time you're doing it, we're getting a little better.
After SteamCon, when we had to sit down at 1 o'clock at night and argue over the last 7 stories we had to throw out.
She was yelling at me in the shower.
I was literally standing outside the shower going, it's 49 words! Second gin and tonic. See, he just sits here and looks pretty. So all of these things that we're telling you because, 1, you need to be professional, and 2, please help us on the back end. Because we really want, he'll just sit here and hug his
Yeah.
fox. We really want to give you money, but if you have a fabulous story and there's no name on it,
We really want to take money from people and give it to you.
yes.
Yes. And part of it is, we want, yes, we want to do this. We don't know who to get the money to. We want to help you with whatever you're doing next. Because once you get the format down for this, you can use this on everything. The juried and the judged competitions will have different formatting guidelines, but everywhere else you submit to a slush pile will have these guidelines.
Yes.
Yes.
One of the reasons that we started this is it's Writer 101. Raconteur Press is Writer 101.
In so many ways.
I will happily publish for you as long as you want me to. I will be even happier if you will learn stuff here and then go out on your own.
Yes.
Get
Take this
all
and
the
learn how
money
to-
instead of what we give you.
Right? Exactly. So,
And we can do, so we're doing these, we have a 4-week turnaround window
yeah,
for
it's
each of
really
for
tight.
the postcard anthologies, and it's possible to do it,
Mm-hmm.
and all the other projects that we're working on, like, because it's possible to do this. And but the other things we're trying to show, because we show our work
Yes,
as
we do.
much as possible. Like some of it's just I have to read things and read and that's very boring to watch. But I'm going to show you what I'm doing. I'm going to show you there are no secrets here. There's no, well, secretly I want this person to submit. Now, there's some people where I'm like, if I got a submission from them, I would do a little happy dance. But if it was 49 words or 52 words, it's getting bounced.
Out.
Like I have no patience for that.
I don't care how big your name is. I've been around big names. Doesn't impress me.
Right.
So,
but we're showing our work. We're showing you how it works.
yeah.
We're showing you how to do this so that when you are ready to when we put you in the catapult and go, fly, my little birdies, you know how to do it. We're giving you this stuff for your wings.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So knowing what our back end looks like is I'll stand up and turn around.
It's a lovely back end. It's much more,
But it's a
much
better
nicer than it used to
understanding
be.
of why why we ask for all of those things and how it makes our life simpler. It makes it easier for the two of them to focus on the stories and putting the book together in a way that's beautiful and cohesive and has a common theme and feels good.
Yeah.
Doing all those things ahead of time makes it so much easier for that to happen.
Because the common theme thing with Fanta Fly, which was the Fantasy postcard generation, we ran into a problem that was completely unexpected, completely out of our control, and I went from I'm going to do flight themed images for everything in some way to do I have enough images? Because
we were in panic.
MidJourney was having growing pains, and I was not able to keep up with the demand for images to generate images. Now I had quite a backstock of images already that I had for other projects or that I had done just because I like playing with it. But that meant that we went from, oh, this is going to be a themed anthology to there will be images.
Yes. And it's my job to go through the stories and find the theme. And that's actually, and I hate to say it, there were some that got bounced from Steam because they worked better in Fanafly.
Yeah.
And
So weirdly enough.
But because we knew what was coming, we have the back end in place, we have the plan, so we can think long term, not just the short term.
Yeah.
So,
and it helps me put, knowing kind of what we're looking for a cohesive whole. I will I'll read through those stories going, oh, I like this story. Oh, this story follows nicely after this story. And so that's something that will, and it's not anything that you really have a whole lot of control over, but it is something that I put a lot of thought into of, it's like I said on my panels at Fantasy was, I'm not going to put peppermint next to pistachio.
No.
I'm going to, you're going to, every story is going to be different. Everything's going to have a different flavor, but it's going to be a nice transition from one story to the next story. And if I get a story that is absolutely amazing and so cool, and it doesn't fit with anything else I've got, it's shortlisted, but it may not make it in, because if I have 20 stories that fit all together, they're the ones that are going to go in. It's one of those stories that, like, there was nothing wrong with it. It just didn't have a natural transition.
Yeah, it didn't fit. It didn't.
In the stories.
And this is a good lesson to learn about rejections, though, too, is that more often than not, I would say, rejections are not personal, and they're not necessarily about the quality of the work that was turned in. They're about, did it fit the anthology? Did it fit what the author needed right there? Or not the author, but the editor. And you are, as an editor, doing editing things, what you're supposed to do as an editor, and creating that cohesive whole.
Yeah. And there's some Malta stories that I'm like, the title's great. It doesn't. I need one that's 500 words longer,
Right.
Just to make it. Or I need a different, like, so there's stuff that got turned in for the second Malta anthology. They're going to be in the fourth Malta anthology because they didn't fit with what I had going in the second anthology.
Yeah.
They fit better with what goes in the fourth anthology. It has nothing to do with you. It has everything to do with keeping the pleasant experience all the way through.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's a process to build a book, even if it's a postcard book.
Yeah.
I mean, and it's a construction thing, and it takes a little while, and this is an insane short production calendar for these things, which has taught us a lot about always have an image bank ready to go before you announce the postcards.
Yes.
Yes.
So we have an image bank already for the postcards that will be going out for Fool's Con.
Starting Friday.
That's been prepared and is ready to roll.
Yeah, so we have that set up. We also have, funny that Raconteur Press now has a giant Google Drive with all the stuff in one place, and it's organized with like stuff. I mean, we're still working out some bugs in some other ways, but we've done that, so we have that now, so it's all cohesive.
And we're working the processes together to figure out, okay,
Mm-hmm.
so what do I need to give you by this point? Like, oh, so there's some stuff where I'm like, I can get that done in like 20 minutes, we're good. And I can have that done 3 weeks ahead of time.
Yeah,
and
we've
I don't
also
wanna lose
centralized our giving out images thing, because
Yes.
all three of us doing it from 3 different emails was like, so who's got that image? We had that today of like,
Where
did
is
that
the
image come from?
Right. I'm like, I thought I had it, but wait, no, I can't find it anywhere. And I was on my personal computer, and this is actually where the Google Drive comes in really handy.
Yeah.
Because I was running things from my phone and from my personal computer, and I didn't have the ability to suck files from one to the other easily.
And now we can.
And now with Google Drive, it's all in the cloud. I can access it from any device.
Thank you for teaching us that needed to happen, because wow, was it getting a little out of hand.
Yes.
So
we pressure tested our system and found where it needed issues.
oh, look, there's a giant blowout over there.
It's like, so we need to, we need to fix that part right there. That's
Because
a hole.
really, Raconteur Press is a very young little company.
Yeah.
It's very young. We're very bootstrappy. I mean, you're looking at it. We're missing one person, but I mean, you're looking at it, and it's not like we don't have lives. So,
And I don't think Ian realized what he was getting into.
he had no idea.
I didn't have an idea. I had a wish list, which I must say is being rather well filled. But I didn't realize I had a 5-year plan. And we are on year 6 of my 5-year plan.
Because
Which I was
my
not
gosh.
ready for.
No, I expected, looking at what my numbers had been and what other people had done, and looking at what I was projecting for us for this year, what projects I knew we had, I figured we'd be at this point in like 3 or 4 years. I was 3 or 4 months. No.
and not being people who, well, considering the way we drive, we should have expected being right here.
I have 0 experience in actual publishing. Courtney does. Cedar does.
I used to own a publishing company way back when in the SCA.
So I talked to a bunch of people that have publishing companies, and added 10% because I'm military. And it's like we're going to pad this 10%. And I went, all right, let's see what happens.
But we also are a completely different
And
format
there they went.
than most other companies. So,
Yeah.
so
And this is part of that. This conversation being utterly transparent with the hiccups and bounces in the back end of things as we're getting this rolling.
No kidding. Which also, I mean, when you guys get out there and start doing stuff on your own, you can do this too. So
Unlike every other publishing company that I know of, my experience has been military special operations. Very small units where everybody knows everything, and who runs it depends on who knows the most about a certain subject. Who runs the mission depends entirely on who knows the most about the mission. I'm running this the same way.
And you're doing something that I think is very smart, because it's something that I teach and shout about in my various day jobs, has been cross-training, making sure that everybody knows.
yeah,
And there's redundancies and everything.
Yeah.
I could, no, I will say, God forbid it ever happens, I could be in a car accident tomorrow, and everybody here would be able to get into everything but my personal projects.
yeah, yeah.
And
Because
John will hear a scraping sound and look up, in her hospital bed we
you're like, okay, now password. Yeah. So no, we actually we're an all access company. We get to see everybody's emails. I mean, because if we need something, we're bopping back and forth between emails and going, oh, I've got this. Oh, it's on the drive. I mean, everything. Everybody sees everything, because there's nothing really hidden. We all know what's going on.
And there's no secret deals with, I talked to this person and they said yes. Like, no,
like,
you didn't.
No, we're not going to do the mommy said, daddy said.
No,
end
we
around
don't do that.
No.
Quite frankly, I couldn't keep track of who I said yes to anyway, so it's
is
out
why
of
you
my
have to write
brain
it
onto
down.
Jonna.
Well, see, that's the thing, is they'll all be talking about this, and I'm used to dealing with actors and directors and stuff like that. who drop information. And I've been a stage manager, and I've also been the person who has to stand there and go, they're pulling what out of their pocket in their pants that you said they didn't need to have pockets on. So I'm all about the little details.
Mm-hmm.
So he'll be standing talking to somebody and saying, yeah, we could definitely get a story together for, and I'm like, okay. My
Check
phone
calendar.
has notes from sitting next to him in the bar. I'm like, oh, I guess we're doing another anthology. Oh, look, another one. It's like,
But because
so,
we have the calendar going,
yes.
and the way we have it set up, is we know about when we could add something else
Yes,
if
yeah,
we need
I have
to.
a good idea when we can slot something in.
Which would be 2024 at this point.
Yes, we had one small space to add something in, and it got
And we
taken.
filled
And
it.
I'm so very excited that it did.
I
But-
mean, it's really terrific, but it's also like, it's like, oh, we could do that in March. No, August. That's my
I will
job.
say one thing: my internet messenger and my email. If you're contacting me to whinge or complain, they don't hear about it. They're not going to, because if you're contacting me to whinge away. All right, now you're done.
If it's valid feedback, we do need to know about
Yeah,
it.
yes,
But
Well,
other
but
than
the
that,
whinging,
That seemed,
the
yeah.
whinging. My story didn't get in. I'm looking at your story. What's your name again?
Mhm.
Yeah.
yes.
Oh, look. No, I'm sorry. John has sent you an email telling you exactly why it didn't get.
Yes.
Mhm.
So,
49 words. Ah!
or,
Just gonna be my tag. 49 words.
or yeah, put your name on it. Ah! Well, that
Yeah.
was eloquent.
Yeah. So even after Steam cards, when we got them all back and we
Mhm.
told everybody, oh my God, please put your name on your thing. Put your name on it. We like the first batch we
20.
got, we had like 6 with no
Yeah.
names.
Yep.
And we're just like, what do we have to do? So, okay, so learning process.
Yes.
I think we've given you guys the back end of all of this. The other thing we're learning is how excited people are about this, how much fun they're having,
Which is amazing.
and
Yes.
how many great stories we've been getting that we have no space for. And it's kind of heartbreaking to see all that wonderful, amazing creativity
Mhm.
have no place to live because we can only put 20 in the book. So we're here to ask you guys a question, which is, what do we do? I mean, because we've been talking about we have to do something. We have to create
Mhm.
some kind of space, some place
Mhm.
where these ones that don't make it into the books can see the light of day, and how we can do that. And we're not really sure how to approach that. We've had several different ideas thrown at us.
Mhm. I mean, I really like Regan Smith gave me an idea to call them the unmailed postcards,
Mm-hmm.
which I love, but what do we do to create unmailed postcards that is less work for all of us?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Because that's the thing, is we're not going to set up a website for this and
Yeah,
then
because that
have
costs
to
money. Which,
and then have
Mhm.
because that costs money, and there are free ways to do it, but
But
they
it,
look
It also
janky.
costs time that we
But
don't
it,
have.
more
Yeah.
importantly is the time.
We don't
Yeah.
have
that we
time.
don't
we don't have
have.
time. We want to do an also ran almost compilation at the end of the year because we've got some that are just so amazing.
so,
Mhm.
but yes.
So we may do an end of year omnibus, maybe.
But
Don't
again,
hold us to that.
it's only going to be 20 stories.
It's only 20. So we've got, what, almost 300 now?
Something like that.
Of stories
Yeah.
that are really tremendous. So we were thinking, well, do we put together a Facebook page when you haven't made it in that you can
Mhm.
post it and maybe,
Because then
And maybe get
you're
some
doing
feedback.
the work, the
Yeah.
author.
yeah, I mean, because if we have a Facebook page that's like the Postcard Challenge page
Mhm.
where you guys can post and then perhaps workshop each other's stories.
Yeah.
Because that's
Or-
actually one would be super helpful. Because my feedback isn't going to be the same as somebody else's feedback. I
Yeah.
can tell you, add a word. Okay, so what does that mean? I don't have time to explain where you need to add the word. You're
Mhm.
just at 49 words. You need to add a word.
Mm-hmm.
But if you set it, if we put it up and people give feedback, workshop it, your writing will get better, and their
Yeah.
writing will get better because you're going to look and see. Okay, so this person did something really cool, and they needed to add a word. So maybe if you change this one word to 2 words, and then
Yeah.
now we're at 50.
Right.
So that's an option. There could be a Facebook page where this happened.
Right, and we realize that not everyone does Facebook for very good reasons.
Mhm.
However, there isn't really another place to do this. MeWe is not. We gave it a good try, and I'm
There's
pretty
no-
much not on there anymore.
there's no
There's
engagement.
no engagement there.
Nope.
So, and I don't think any of us want to try and run a forum based on one of our existing websites.
No.
Way too much work.
So the other idea that I'd had, which would involve some work on our side, but no pay for the authors, so it does violate one of our tenets, would be to do a Substack newsletter and put the best ofs out as part of an announcement with that. But it doesn't get the author paid, it just gets exposure, and I'm a little dubious about that.
Yeah.
As an
It
artist,
doesn't get the author paid, and it doesn't actually give them anything.
Right.
They don't
Yeah.
get
well,
feedback.
it gives them, they don't give feedback, but they do get some they get in front of Raconteur Press subscribers. Because
Yeah.
the Substack newsletter would mostly be to be announcing open calls and
Yeah.
things like that. We do
So
need a newsletter.
that's an option of
Yeah,
like the
But-
newsletter.
Yeah. However, what I'm hearing is more work.
Yeah, right. That's well, we're gonna have a newsletter anyway.
We're gonna have to do a newsletter
Which is-
anyway. That's a
Oh, did we not tell you that? You were standing out front looking pretty. So we're gonna be putting together a newsletter in 2024.
So we have a consolidated place for people to get the news of what's coming out that month,
yes,
what's coming up, where we're going to be.
yes.
right.
Is it?
So they don't
get
have to
so
go
many,
troll through the Facebook,
We
and
have-
people that don't do Facebook have a place
Right.
to get our information.
We have
that isn't Facebook.
so many people asking so many questions, and we miss them. Unfortunately, a lot of stuff comes out on our Texas Troublemakers page, and we miss them. You know, we've set up a Raconteur Press page, which is just now kind of getting off the ground, but it's also
Have you
I
seen
don't.
the stats on it today?
I know it's great. The so, but the important part is I think that postcards cannot happen on Raconteur Press's page.
No, they have
There's
to
so much
bury
thing on
it.
their own.
It'll bury it. There's too many of them.
So I guess the question is, if you guys have ideas, we want to hear them because these are too good to leave in a Google Drive file with nobody able to see them.
Yeah.
And we also want people to have the freedom to post the work that they did
Yeah.
And to get feedback.
and to get feedback and also just be proud of,
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
the work they did.
Yeah.
Like I almost want to give a sticker of it. Also ran.
Yeah.
Like, we really liked you. We didn't
And
quite
more.
make it.
Yeah.
Also,
Well-
if somebody else wants to get 20 of the ones they like that we didn't print, do your own anthology.
Mhm.
There's
Well, some of the submissions, they're going to be up to 20 here pretty quick of their own.
Yeah.
So, no, because it's great because people keep trying, and it's the
Yeah.
absolute best thing.
Yes, and keep trying because there's some who
Oh,
they
they're growing.
send them in and they're so good. You can see the progress from one story
Yeah.
to the next story.
Yeah.
And you see someone like someone's like, well, that thought it looked like a novel to me, and I'm like, yes. That's
Like
actually
Richard,
why.
Richard Cartwright did that
Oh,
today.
yes.
He's like, that became an entire novel in my head. Go!
Write it, please.
So here's the thing. If the images that are used as an image prompt come from me, and you want to use that image, but you're going to be writing a longer story, just let me know, because then I will let you have the rights to use that image for that purpose, not just blanket whatever. And if you do publish, I would like to be credited. That's
Yeah.
it. I'm not going to charge people for these because I love the fact that they're sparking that creativity.
Yes. See, that's the important part too. Is we do have to remember the creative process here, and not forget because Courtney and
Mhm.
Cedar, and there's a few of mine out there too, not anywhere near as many, created these images, and they do deserve credit for them. So, but if you're in a group working through that, you can say, I got this one. We can say, oh yeah, that's mine, or yeah, oh
Right.
that's Cedar's.
Yeah.
Just because you don't know where
Right.
they came from.
Mhm.
But it's like, do you want a workshop space or do you just want a display space, or do you
Right.
want to,
Or some of both.
or some of both, or a coded way to say this one's for display only, no comments, or
Mhm.
please
Right.
workshop this story for me, or or something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's easy enough to do. I mean, if you're doing a Facebook group, that can
It's
be
pretty easy.
you can hashtag,
Yeah, we can
and then
hashtag.
you can sort by hashtags if you're looking for something specific.
Yeah,
So
And you
that's
can bring
easy
your
enough to
writing
do.
group into some of these where it's like, hey, we
Yeah.
all wrote on the same story. Here's all of our stories.
or
We
Yeah.
got that. I
or
had
we could
someone
post
contact
an image
me.
and say image of the week. Write your 50-word story.
Yes,
Yes.
I love that. And
I
that's
actually
in
do
the
love
comment
that.
thread
Wouldn't
under
that
it.
be fun?
Ooh. But
So-
I had someone contact me, and I had put out. I had put out an image prompt to someone specific. Each image prompt that we do is unique to an individual. We don't repeat images.
No.
So what I had was someone contacted me via Facebook Messenger that I wasn't friends with, which, by the way, there was a moment during Fantasy, because I'm there madly trying to keep up with everything. I was like, Facebook is gonna ban the heck out of me because I keep messaging people I'm not connected with in any way. They're gonna call me a spammer, but but this lady contacted me, and she's like, you gave an image prompt to someone, and he brought it to the writing group, and we all wrote a 50-word story, and I would like to submit mine. I'm like,
Oh.
Wonderful, but we can only accept one
We're
of
like,
them.
How do we do this?
We can only accept one story per picture. So if you get 6 stories on the same picture, one of y'all's getting in.
Right. So the moral of that is contact us, get your own image, and which is what this lady did. Was she was like, okay, then can I have my own image? And I'm like,
Yeah.
sure. Here you go. Because we have, and now it'll be even
no.
easier with the image pool.
We just had a terrible idea. One image, 20 stories. A new anthology from.
No, no, it won't
We
work.
can
No
work
more
with
votes for you.
We know how this works.
It won't work with the layout process.
It won't
I know
work
it
with the
won't.
layout.
I know it won't.
But it is a
still,
great idea.
No more booths.
It would be fun though.
Wouldn't that be fun?
Use
It would be
the
a
image
blast.
as the color.
Yeah.
Though the problem is that the way I'm laying out
Yeah, it
is I'm
doesn't work that
doing
way.
I'm doing story image. Oh, and I got a question from someone about the formatting because he thought it should be image story. There's a reason that I'm not doing it that way.
Okay.
Because it's my company, this is the way we do it.
No, because the paper's not that great, and there's potential bleed through, and I don't,
You know
and I
what,
want
yeah.
it, and I want it to be laid out the way it is, so that the images that you don't have to read with potential
Yeah.
bleed through from the image.
See all this stuff we have to think about?
I actually like my response better.
Because he said so.
Right?
So if we have a serious problem and you're really annoying us and you get because he said so, go talk to Ian.
This is actually part of the looking out front and looking pretty. It's also carrying a big stick.
Yeah, so that's the thing is we really don't know how to approach this. We've had a bunch of different ideas of how to approach what do we do with all of the submissions that we've talked about it a lot because it's agony. The yes maybe later files that we have, they're just like we go read them and we're like, oh man, this is so good, and it's frustrating because we have some people who submitted 3 times and each one is successively better. The third one was just like not.
Go
And
look,
there were some ones
51
like
words.
the third story was fantastic as an opening paragraph to a novel.
Yeah.
Some of them were wonderful dissertations on a still life, which were just beautifully written.
Beautiful.
It's not a story.
Not a
It's not a story.
It's not a story, it's not an entertaining story.
Yeah, so that's what we run into. But we also think that they should be shared
Yeah.
somehow.
Yeah.
The question is how.
Yes, we'd like these to see the light of day. We want to know how you want to be shared.
Without putting more work on them.
Right,
Yeah.
and that is definitely part of the criteria because we're creative, we have lots of fantastic ideas, but I think all of us have learned that we have to say no to our own ideas because otherwise we will become completely overwhelmed and wandering around driving our roommates nuts. Or husbands in my case.
And have people throw things
Well,
at
part
you.
of it too is that we're already kind of overwhelmed just because we have a very aggressive publishing schedule ahead of us, and we're doing things like running off to Italy for 3 weeks and running off to Washington and going to conventions and
Taking a master naturalist course.
Taking a naturalist course, that because we're still pretty part time in all this because we're still bootstrapping our way along here, and
It's going to stay that way.
it's going to stay that way.
Mhm.
And I'm not a writer. I'm not a writer. I don't do this. I organize cats really well.
And thank God.
Yeah, but it's also, I have this thing called the business that we're sitting in the middle of that's like still in financial dire straits. So I have to focus on that too.
Yeah, you have to be able to pay your own bills.
So
And we have to we have to do the work that pays us in addition to all these
in
things.
addition to this, because we're trying to build this little dream that Ian had
Also,
to a bigger dream that Ian wants.
this is not going to become anybody's everything.
No,
No.
Period.
no.
I will shut the doors in a heartbeat.
I don't know which doors you'd be shutting since it's all sitting in the middle of my shop.
Metaphorical doors.
Metaphorical doors.
Metaphorical.
Yes.
I will shut down Raconteur Press if it starts taking over people's
Yeah,
jobs.
the point it's like SCA. They say if it reaches the point that it's 49% fun, then we don't want to do it anymore. So if you're coming up with an idea, also if you can help us with the idea, that's even better. So if you're like, okay, so we could organize this way and stuff, and I'd be willing to toss in, being a moderator or something along that lines.
Because we will need moderators.
We'll need moderators, but whatever happens. But we also need moderators who have the same vision and can stick to what the goal is. I mean,
Right.
it's like in North Texas Troublemakers, the goal is we're going to have a party, support each other, rising tide lifts all boats, leave your politics at the door, PG-13. And I'm the lady with the ruler going, smack, no!
And I'm the one with the Sperglements who pays.
She throws to everybody. So, yeah, you know. But still, I
PG-13.
mean, it's the keeping the focus on the positive and moving things forward. And isn't this fun? Aren't we having fun? Because we are, even though it's a little.
It's a lot of work behind the scenes.
Sometimes it's a little overwhelming, but sometimes it's like, you know what, this is as overwhelming as it is. It's like, okay, I'm going to read before I go to bed, so I'm going to read through short story submissions.
Yeah.
Like, and because it's fun. Like, I'm reading short story submissions for pleasure.
Yeah.
Before I go to sleep. Like, that's a good sign that I'm enjoying this, right?
You guys write such great stuff.
Oh my gosh, some of them are.
It's the best thing ever.
I've gotten some where I'm like, oh my god, you have to see this, and then like,
It's like, ah!
I don't think folks understand how thrilling it is when we get the squee posts.
Oh my god.
When somebody
So
gets
much
their
fun.
first contract or their
Yes.
first acceptance letter or sees their name on the cover of an anthology, the squee posts are just
It's the best thing
Mm.
ever.
yes it is. Yes it is.
And oh my god, I sold my first story. I print those out and put them on my wall.
So when you guys squee, we're actually going, did you see this? And we're like spreading it all out. We're all like, so
Because
we do that.
because this is about
Yeah.
making money, sort of, kind of, but it's also about a lot more than
And
that.
the first
to us.
time one of our little chicklets publishes his own book,
Yes.
Yes.
We will send you a box of chiclets.
You
You think we're kidding. We're not.
One of the things that I got to put into the steam-powered postcards is the very first professional publication by a young author. And by young author, I'm not just saying that this is their first professional publication. She's 8. And we got to put in, with permission of her parents, not only her story and her prompt image, but there's also 2 pages which are her handwritten first draft.
Yes.
So you'll get to see her editing process, which she did have some parental assistance with editing because her initial draft was 89 words.
It's too long.
So it was too long, but then they edited it down to 50, and that's what's in the book. But this was kind of one of those moments of just, we got that, and all
We
3
died.
of us were like in the same room when we got that.
Dead
we were
of
just
squee.
dead of squee.
DED. Dead.
Because
Dead.
it's just so precious. And she is, and we've since seen another story that she wrote, and she actually got in trouble for it at school because it was a murder mystery, and her teacher felt that was too dark.
So now.
So now.
she's actually a really good writer for an 8-year-old.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yes. So now she's going to be published, and we think she should take an autographed copy of the book to her teacher. So,
This might happen, yes.
not just published.
yep.
Well, I know.
Mm,
Yeah.
So-
this is the kind of thing that we
we live for.
Oh,
we
yes.
absolutely
I
live
got
for.
to make an executive decision on that one that I'm going to be proud of till then.
Well, see, that's really, I mean, you guys make our days so much better. I mean, in weeks that are just hellacious. Monday's been a week all by itself today.
2 gin and tonics. First one in 2 minutes.
Yeah, so, but it's the best thing ever to send out a contract and have them go, I get it. So, you know, I get, it's almost like tiara. You know, it's,
I have a tiara.
it's like the squee I get back after sending out the contracts this last time was so much fun. It was so much fun.
And I have to say, it was something good to focus on.
Yeah.
And because I got some awful news at Fantasy.
Yeah.
Not that at SteamCon.
At SteamCon.
And which made Fantasy very stressful and uncomfortable.
Yes. But it also gave me the chance to, I put 2 stories in every Postcards Anthology that we have, so that there's enough and
It's
nobody
more
else
fluff.
is. It's more fluff, quite frankly.
It's good fluff.
And so that, because I'm getting paid for being the editor, I don't get paid extra for having a story in, and nobody else is having to take a cut
Yeah.
Right.
to have
we
have more in there. So we have 22 stories in every Postcards Anthology. and it gave me an outlet to focus on.
Mhm.
Instead of just focusing on the bad news and
Mhm.
reading through some of these stories where I'm like, this is fantastic. There are a couple that made me cry because I'm like, he would have loved these.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah. Very much so.
there's a lot of those.
It was
So
very cool.
it's really helped me the last month,
Yeah.
and been a lot of fun too. So
Yeah.
it's been great.
And even though you guys expressed disappointment on North Texas and Raconteur, we're like, it's okay to feel disappointed that you didn't get in, but don't think it's because you're not good.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, and I hope that the explanation that Courtney gave about how she goes about building the books, I mean, a lot of them are just like, it's really that last, because we were at 37 again on this last one,
Yeah.
and we were having to be just brutal in the cuts, just brutal.
And we went rounds about some of them. Where I'm like,
Yeah.
I like this one. No, I prefer this
And
one.
it's like, no, not
Okay,
this
so
one.
we
And
need
here's
to get it to the yeah.
yeah, and we were like, no physical fights.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did throw a monkey across the room though, because I was so frustrated with one of them.
That's why
So,
Cecil's here.
well, because I mean, it was such a good story, but it was just like not quite.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so don't think it has anything to do with the quality. I mean, because the quality has been incredibly high.
Yeah.
It really has. Oh, my
Thank you.
phone's buzzing at me.
So that's actually one of the things too that I think we're seeing with all of the anthologies for Raconteur Press is that we're seeing consistently across the board really high quality stories.
Yeah.
Well,
come
and
in.
people growing from story to story.
Yeah.
Yes,
Which is
definitely.
really
Which has
amazing.
been really fun to watch in the Malta anthology.
Oh my
yeah.
gosh. Yeah.
Because we have folks that have published in several, 2, 3, and it's like, wow.
Yeah, eventually,
Every
folks,
story gets
we're going
better.
to be kicking you off of the Ann Moore team here pretty soon. So, because you're moving on up. So,
Yeah.
just this, I mean, I know way too many authors. God knows. Look at my friends list. I've got like 600 of them on my Facebook friends list. So I don't talk to them about their books or their writing. Sometimes I give them a gimlet eye when they've written about me. But I read voraciously, but I don't talk to people about what they write. But if I come up to you and go, God damn, that was great, that's actually me saying something, because I don't
Yeah.
generally say that to people. I'm just like, oh, great, your book's out, and I leave it at that, because I'd be just talking about stories for the rest of my goddamn life,
Yeah.
because all I know are authors, and now I want to talk about their writing. I'm like, can we talk about bands or music or something else?
There will come a point at conventions where I'm going to shut off. If Courtney has a drink in her hand, she's not talking work anymore.
Unless we're
Because-
sitting next to him
well,
and trying to convince him of another anthology. So
Then we'll see. But
it's a different kind of work.
a different kind of work. But I'm happy to get feedback as much as I can. There's some where I'm like, I've read 4 stories from you. Which one do you want to know about?
Like, could you be more specific?
Or there were 6 stories that were turned, like, I gave it to you yesterday. Cool. I'm not getting to it for 2 months.
14 came in yesterday.
Yeah.
So it's not that we don't love you and want to do that.
It's like, have you read it yet? Like, probably. everything that goes into any of our anthologies, I've read 8 or 9 times by the time they've made it into the final destination folder.
I just had a thought
okay.
really quickly before it evades me again.
Yes.
Can we ask in the email that goes out with the contract
Yes.
for them to, when they send back the contract, to also send us a link to any other stories that they have written that are published out there?
Oh.
Because when I was doing...
Yes, because if you're getting in, we want to tell everybody about all your other stuff.
Right, because in
Yeah.
the back of all the postcard anthologies, I have at least 1 page, I'm hoping to expand it to 2, with other things the authors in this have written. And I had to manually go back through it and steam powered and look at names and be like, okay, have they published before? And what have they published? And that was one extra thing that I would rather not have. But also it gives our authors an opportunity for them to promote the work that they want promoted.
Yes.
Yes.
Because they have lots and like Jim Curtis.
Oh my Lord.
I'm like, which one of Jim's do I put in here? I think I just put the Gray Man series because it's fantastic and you should read it.
Well, yeah. Jim has so much stuff.
But that's exactly it. It's like, okay, author, what do you want
What
to
do you
promote?
want us to promote? So,
Because we do this cross promotion in the back end of books. I don't care who published it.
no, we don't care. If you've got it out there, we'll happily
we
push
want to
it.
tell people about
Now,
it.
if you don't send me something and you've published with us, I'm going to put our book in there.
Right?
Deal.
Because rising tide lift all boats. I mean,
Yes,
really,
yes.
the whole point is all of us to help each other. And one of the things that was really delightful about Postcards from Mars and we hope with this one too, is that everybody, it was all over Facebook.
Oh my
Mhm.
gosh.
Everybody
it's-
shared it, which was
sales
wonderful.
The first day was fantastic.
Oh my God, the first day was insane. Because I just kept, it was like, it's Green Man all the way down my feed. I mean, and that is the best thing ever. Because as a team of 20 authors, and all of us in North Texas can do, is get the word out that this fun thing is there. And you
Mhm.
guys do it over and over and over again. Anybody publishes a book, you pop it in there and like, off it goes.
And the thing is, the number of people that we have that have like 1 or 2 connections in North Texas, and we know none of their other friends.
Yeah.
If that person shares it, all of a sudden, all of their other friends, who none of us have any connection to,
No.
have now seen the story.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So,
And this is why we're creating snappy little graphic promos
yes,
that can be very easily
Yeah.
shared, that have all the information on it. And this time I did put on those promo graphics, we have the deadline on there, because I know that was the most
Yeah.
asked question last time.
Mhm.
So for the Postcards from Fools, which is the upcoming one for
Opens
Fools
Friday.
Con, opens Friday, April 14th. And it closes midnight, Monday, April 17th.
And are we saying midnight Pacific
Midnight Central
or midnight
Time.
Central?
I
Central
just said midnight. I'm not going to be awake, so.
Midnight Central Time.
Okay, well now that you've said that,
Do
then
I need to
get
put that on the
You know what?
graphic?
It's like, well,
They'll
that's
deal. They'll deal.
well, that's the thing is I will watch the times on the emails because I'll be monitored. Because now instead of them doing administrative work when they really should be reading stories and editing, I'm grabbing the things and tossing them into the files so they can go and look at them.
Mhm.
So they have time to spend there, not on doing the paperwork.
Yeah.
'Cause I'm really good at paperwork.
Yeah, I put for basically we want you to write it, a 50-word story, precisely 50 words.
More or less.
We want you to format it. 12 points, Times New Roman. DocX file, please.
Mm-hmm.
Make sure your name is in there, the story title, and your email address.
Mm-hmm.
And then we want you to submit it to 3momsoftheapocalypse@gmail.com
Mm-hmm.
with in the subject line, Postcard for Fools.
Yes.
And at that point, the deadline is midnight on Monday, and everything is on the graphic, can be easily shared. Please do share it. And yeah, that hopefully will cover most of the ground that we were getting a lot of questions about on this last
Yeah.
one.
Oh, they'll come
Yeah.
up with new questions.
Because we're
trust
Well,
me.
and
very
that's important.
responsive to you.
Mhm.
You say you have a problem, we listen.
We
try
try to figure it out.
to make it
So,
better.
yes, and we try to make it iterable, so it's not just a throw out an answer and done.
yeah.
Okay, how do we take this feedback and roll it into
How
the
do we
next thing?
fix it? Because when we get the same question 4 or 5 times, it's like, oh, there's a
Mhm.
spot we have to fix.
And give
Yeah.
putting up I have the little graphic of this is how you format your story, and this is what should go here. This is what should go here. This
But we
is
have
what
to
goes
fix
here.
that because we added the email.
We added the email, but
Yeah.
this is the basic. You know
Mhm.
how your
Mhm.
story should look anytime you submit a short story.
And I will
submission.
tell you something really important. That the 12 point means the title and the name and everything is all 12 point.
Mhm.
Not the title is 18 point bold in italics. The entire document is
Mhm.
12 point. Because what happens is I have to go back and create a file that I pull out the title and all that stuff. And then I get this Excel sheet that's got like 20 different typefaces on it. 12 point, period, end of story, nothing else.
Times
So-
New Roman.
Times New Roman.
Mhm.
No more than that. And
It
while
doesn't matter if you usually use Comic Sans or Papyrus. Times New Roman.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
Control A can change. That's all.
no,
Type in
because
whatever you want to type in. Just make sure it's all when you submit it. It's Times New Roman.
it's Times New Roman 12 point, the entire document.
Mhm.
And we're not telling you that because we're like, oh, we're telling you that because it saves time for us on the other end,
Mhm.
which means more time for looking at the stories and having a good time. So every single thing
More
on that
time
has a
for-
reason.
More time for running this crazy schedule of
Oh my
anthologies
God,
that we
you
have,
are
because it's
not
not
kidding.
just postcards.
Also,
Because if I have to go through and find the artifact that caused the problem to break the fucking EPUB,
Move!
also
Mer.
Times New Roman 12 point is the most commonly requested. So get in the habit of using it now.
Yeah.
I understand that you love wingdings. If you
Kelly.
want to be
Kelly and his wingdings. So
if you want to be published somewhere else, they're most liable going to ask for DocX and Times New Roman 12 point font.
the entire
Get in
document.
the just go ahead and get in the habit of using it.
Yeah,
Mhm.
it's because really we want you to be successful,
Mhm.
and these habits can help you on your
Yeah.
way to success.
And you can argue with me as much as you want, but it doesn't change the fact that this is not a new standard. I have dumbed down everybody else's stuff into the basic.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that's an idea is I will occasionally pull topics out of us talking about things that we want other people to learn and use them for Mad Genius Club posts. And I think you guys just gave me one, which is to walk through with screenshots so people can see where to click, how to set up styles,
Yeah.
so that you can just automatically open a document, set it to a style, which in this case would be your submission style,
Mm-hmm.
and your document's going to automatically format from there on
Mm-hmm.
without you having to manually tick all of these boxes every time you write a story or
Yep.
get a story ready to submit.
Absolutely, that would be a wonderful thing to have that we can add into our files for teaching new authors.
And I have a pork roast in the oven, and it's about that time.
And it's time to go eat.
So what do we want to leave these fine folks with?
Please send us your ideas of what we could do with all those amazing postcards that we were not able to publish.
Yes.
And think about what we said through all of this. Gin and tonics are great.
Bombay Bramble is the best.
It was delicious. It was.
That's
It
why
really
they were
was.
pink. 'Cause we use Bombay Bramble.
Bombay Bramble.
It was really good.
We highly recommend
Yes.
Bombay Bramble in your gin and tonics. So
Yes. If you have topics for the broadcast, just in general, you can leave questions in the comments.
yeah, but
um,
please do in the comments and whatever you can think of.
Mhm.
Because quite honestly, even if it seems silly and stupid, do it anyway. Because you'd be surprised how silly and stupid conversations can lead to all kinds of incredibly cool things.
Oh yes.
So if it's like, we should just broadcast them on a dirigible over whatever, just put it in there because it might lead us to something new and different.
Right. New, different, and fun.
Yeah.
Leave. Feel free to like and subscribe. We'll actually see these when they
Yes.
come out.
Yes.
And hopefully we'll have steam powered postcards
Friday.
Friday.
We'll be out Friday.
Up Friday.
And on Friday morning, you can start asking for images.
for Fool's Cut for the next one.
Yeah, for the next challenge. And it is a challenge, and we hope you learn a lot from it. We hope you have fun with it.
Yes.
So if you're not having fun, what's the point?
Right? Because we're certainly having fun.
I'm
hope you
definitely
make
having fun.
money off of it.
And we want you to make
fun,
money.
get paid.
Have fun, get paid.
Have fun, get paid.
Have
There's a
fun,
good stopping
get
point.
paid.
All right.
Have fun, go eat.
See you guys next time.
Bye.